On Valentine's Day, the man I'd been after for 3 years, Jackson, came toward me with 99 roses. Just when everyone thought I'd finally be with him, he turned and handed the flowers to Christina, the woman he loved. The roses were beautiful, but unfortunately, not for me. Everyone was waiting to see me embarrassed, but the next second, I walked right past him and jumped into another man's arms without hesitation. Roses are pretty, but I only love wild roses. People were staring in shock at what just happened. What did they see? They just watched as Jackson's top admirer, Luna, bypassed Jackson and went straight into another man's embrace. It was unbelievable for everyone, as I'd been glued to Jackson's side for the whole 3 years since I got into school. I was always there, close to him. I handed him water when he was thirsty, bought him food when he was hungry, and fanned him when he was hot. Even when he went out with other women late at night, I'd run errands if he called. Everyone said I'd gone above and beyond. In these 3 years, girls came and went in Jackson's life. People gossiped about when I'd finally win over his heart and be with him, but he only glanced at me disdainfully and said mockingly, "I'm Jackson, and I don't want just any woman. You're lower than trash on the ground. Luna, you're pathetic." The noisy karaoke room seemed to freeze right after he spoke. The looks from Jackson's buddies ranged from disdain to a bit of sympathy. Jackson's words seemed to echo their thoughts. To them, I must have been the cheapest kind of woman, one who throws herself at a man without being asked. Everyone was waiting to see how I'd take his words. They thought I'd be humiliated and storm out. Instead, I acted like I didn't even hear him, still smiling as if nothing happened, and poured him a drink. The reaction then was as surprised as it is now, but I wasn't bothered. I never cared before, and I still don't. I only care about now, in this warm hug that feels so familiar and comforting, and the man holding me tight. "You're here." Looking up from his arms, I saw his face, more handsome and strong from a year ago, his eyes deep and twinkling like the August night sky. In this moment, we were lost in each other's gaze. Where there should have been a cool forehead, warmth and softness spread across. The deep voice I've longed for whispered in my ear, "I'm here to get you." "Sorry, I'm too happy right now." I stood on my toes to return his affection, completely ignoring the dark look Jackson had. "It's you, David." Jackson recognized him, calling his name in shock and disbelief. I frowned a little, turned to look, for the first time showing Jackson a face without a smile. Jackson's eyes searched mine for the flattery I once showed him, but it wasn't there. Just a slight frown, with no hint of a smile, only impatience and indifference. The once loud room fell silent, as if everyone barely dared to breathe. They all knew today, Valentine's Day, was the day Jackson planned to confess to his crush. Christina, Jackson's crush, never liked me. She knew I hovered around Jackson and never missed a chance to humiliate me in public. I shouldn't have even been there today, but Christina wanted to join in and embarrass me with Jackson's crew. They wanted to see me humiliated, crying. Christina wanted to feel accomplished as a woman. Too bad for her. She was about to be let down. David somehow appeared from behind with a bouquet and handed it to me, stealing my attention again. He knows how to surprise me. "These are wild roses. You remembered." "I remember everything you say." David gave me the flowers, his eyes full of love. I took them, grinning from ear to ear. I'd mentioned once how I loved wild roses more than regular roses, just once. Even I forgot I said it. But he remembered. "Luna, what's this supposed to mean?" Jackson threw the roses meant for Christina to the floor angrily. His face was clouded and his eyes were fixed on me like I'd been warned. "Luna, come here. I'll count to 3. If you don't come over, you'll never show up in front of me again. Ill or not, save the excuses." "I don't believe it. If I don't see you in 10 minutes, you're done." Those familiar words flashed in my mind. A typical tactic Jackson used. Every time he said it, no matter how tough it got, I'd always muster the strength to go to him, showing a flattering smile. But not anymore. 3, 2, 1. The last number fell, and I flashed Jackson a smile. Seeing me move, Jackson seemed to relax, even shooting David a challenging look. Yet, next moment, his smirk froze solid. "David, let's go." I no longer cared to glance at Jackson, taking David's hand and turning to leave amidst everyone's shock. But before we could take a step, Jackson grabbed me by the arm. "Luna, you're something else." Jackson's grip was tight with defiance. He glanced disdainfully at David, sneering. "If you're gonna hire someone to tick me off, at least get someone I don't know. Everyone knows David was once just a lackey behind me. You two do suit." Slap. My palm landed on his face without hesitation. "Watch your mouth, or I don't mind giving you another." I stared Jackson down fiercely. That slap was so forceful it hurt my hand. With that slap, it was the end between us. We owed each other nothing anymore. Everyone had their jaws dropped. Even Jackson was stunned dumb by the slap, watching me in a mix of shock and anger, unable to react. I wanted no more ties with these people. I turned, holding David's hand. David's gaze was full of affection again, and somewhere in his look back at Jackson, I caught a glimpse of a chill that cut to the bone. But after a moment, he gently nuzzled the top of my head with his chin and pulled me into his arms. His other hand held my aching one, gently massaging it. His voice, cool yet tender, wasn't too loud or too soft, just enough for everyone to hear. Leave things like this to me. Don't touch this kind of trash. It'll just dirty your hands. Don't worry, I'm here now. I'll protect you. David, Jackson, and I were in the same grade in high school. I didn't really cross paths with Jackson back then. Like those generic high school stories, Jackson was the campus bully with Christina, the girl from a similarly affluent background, by his side. David was Jackson's sidekick, running errands and copying homework for extra cash, while I was just your average student, so insignificant that I didn't even feel like my life mattered. I met David during the summer of our junior year. We represented our school in a city math competition. Some meetings just seemed destined, like they're written in the stars. David and I were like two magnets with the same pull strength, naturally drawn to each other without saying much. We started by debating math answers, then discussing problems, and eventually, just like every clueless teenager, we talked about the future and our dreams. Maybe it was because we had similar struggles or unspoken frustrations. Unlike Jackson and Christina's highly dramatic and well-known romance, my bond with David was like a drop of water on a calm surface. There were no huge waves, yet quietly in our hearts, ripples began to form. We watched sunsets from the school rooftop and smelled the flowers on the field in early spring. We were careful, yet we both knew what was unspoken between us. He once said to me, "Luna, I used to think my life was a hopeless mess, but after meeting you, it didn't seem so bad. Luna, every day with you is happier than the last. Luna, look outside, the moon is beautiful tonight, and the star beside it reminds me of you. Luna, would you want to go to Cambridge University with me?" I thought we'd keep going like this until graduation exams, but I guess all quiet emotions meet a grim end. David and I were no exception. The turning point came 2 months before the college entrance exams. My mom was diagnosed with a rare disease, and the only treatment was surgery. But the success rate was only 20%, not to mention I couldn't afford the sky-high cost. It felt like my world was falling apart. I was pretty independent, but how was an 18-year-old supposed to deal with something like this? After an accident years ago, it was just me and my mom. It hadn't been easy surviving all these years. She had worked hard to support my education. I thought if I got through high school and went to college, we'd finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. But we were just one step away, and now my mom was stopped at the door. With my future and my mom's life on the line, I didn't have a choice. I chose to drop out. To raise money for her surgery, I decided to sell our only home after much thought, but Mom refused, saying, "This is our home, filled with our memories. Honey, we won't do the surgery. The doctor said there's only a 20% success rate, and even if it succeeds, the follow-up costs will be high. I can't let you sell the house. I can't drag you down. Even if I'm gone, as long as we have our home, you'll always have a place." I didn't sell the house, but I wouldn't let her give up treatment either. She didn't want to burden me, but I wasn't afraid of being burdened by her. She was all I had left. Without her, an empty house couldn't be called a home. When the school found out I was dropping out to help fund my mom's treatment, they started a fundraiser, but it was just a drop in the bucket. David visited me at the hospital many times. He knew I couldn't afford a caregiver. An 18-year-old girl looking after a patient in hospital wasn't easy. So, every day after school, no matter how late, he'd come to help care for my mom. I told him to focus on preparing for college entrance exams. Like me, David had parents who divorced when he was young, with his mom running away abroad and his dad an alcoholic. His family was worse off than mine, yet he never gave up. He wouldn't bow to his dark life, studying hard despite being mocked and insulted. Even stuck in the mud, he wouldn't let go of his last hope for a better life. The college entrance exam was his sole ticket out, and I couldn't let him stay stuck under a cloud because of me. "David, don't come anymore." In the hospital hallway, leaning against the cold wall, I tried to make it my support. David was holding a pot of soup he'd made for me and my mom. He pretended he hadn't heard my words, smiling as he handed it to me. "You said you love yam and pork rib soup. I got the ribs from the butcher downstairs and cooked it overnight. Try it, see if it tastes like your mom's. You've lost weight recently. It's a holiday tomorrow. Tell me what you want, and I'll make it for you. I saw pork belly on sale at the store the other day. How about I make braised pork for you?" "That's enough," I yelled at David, causing the thermos in my hand to hit the ground. The lid shattered, and the steaming soup splattered everywhere. Afraid to meet his gaze, my hands shook at my sides as I questioned him harshly. David, can you get real for a second? The college entrance exams are right around the corner. Why do you keep skipping home to come to me? Haven't I got enough to worry about? You're just making things worse. No, Luna, I just want to help. I know you're having a hard time, and I want to be there for you. Luna, didn't we agree we'd go to Cambridge together? Once your mom gets better, you can go back to school. We can retake next year. He smiled at me, trying to take my hand, but I pulled away without hesitation. With tightly pressed lips, I knew what he said was too good to be true. Even if the surgery succeeded, the treatment costs would drown me. I'd never get back to school. I looked into his eyes, full of exhaustion. I didn't want to treat him this way, but I couldn't be selfish. Help me, how? Can you help cover my mom's surgery? David, can you? Your family's struggling as it is. How are you gonna help me? If you really want to help, leave now and never come back. Those words drained me of energy as I pressed against the wall, barely keeping myself upright. Luna. David had tears in his eyes. It was the first time I saw him cry in front of me. He didn't cry when Jackson humiliated him with money or when he was used as a punching bag. But now, he was shaking all over, like a lost kid, unsure of what to do. Don't cry, David. Don't cry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I bit my lip, unable to stop myself from wanting to reach out for his hand like I used to, but I couldn't. I once thought David and I would get into our dream college together. We'd share our feelings and hold hands, chasing the future we dreamed of. But now, reality had drawn an uncrossable line between us. There's a cliff in front of me, while there's a bright future ahead for David. Get lost. Words of comfort turned into a low growl. I pushed David away like a heartless character in a drama, trying to leave a cold, indifferent image. Yet, I didn't realize I was trembling, and tears were uncontrollably falling. David didn't appear in front of me again, but I'd often spot him hiding behind a tree in the hospital garden. He thought he was discreet, but his childish actions couldn't escape my notice. I was mad, angry at his childishness. I pretended not to see him, not to see the hope and disappointment on his face. I blocked all his contacts, until he stopped that pointless childishness. Eventually, I scraped together the money for my mom's surgery. I heard it was a local businessman who donated the funds. His wife had also succumbed to the same illness. I don't know how he found out about our situation, but it didn't matter to me. The surgery had a low success rate. Nobody knew if it would succeed, and the worry in my heart kept growing, like invisible hands gripping my heart tight. When my mom was about to be wheeled into surgery, she clutched my hand. Her pale face tried to smile to reassure me, "Sweetie, it's going to be all right. I'll be right back." She made me promise to find the kind soul who donated, regardless of the surgery's outcome, and thank them properly. "We must repay kindness," she said. I nodded, promising her that once she was out of surgery, we'd find the donor and thank them. Satisfied, she let go and was taken in. I waited outside the operating room for what felt like eternity. Even though I was prepared, when the lights went off and the doctor came out looking regretful, apologizing to me, I was still shattered. Her last words before going into surgery became her farewell to me. I handled her affairs like a zombie, lost and aimless. I can't describe the feeling. Night after night, in that empty house, I'd think about joining her, but I couldn't. Remembering her last wish gave me strength. She told me to find the generous donor. With the hospital's help, I did find him. He was wealthy, rich enough not to care about the sizable donation. When I spoke about wanting to repay him, he laughed. "How do you plan on thanking me?" he asked. I didn't know how to answer. Honestly, I hadn't figured it out before meeting him. Despite the smile on his face, he wasn't mocking my naivety or limited means. I was flustered, unable to come up with a concrete answer. "You haven't taken the college entrance exam yet, have you?" He changed the subject when he noticed my silence. "I did some digging and saw your academic record. You're quite impressive. I'm sure you'd get into Cambridge." His words brought a wave of sadness. Maybe because it reminded me of my promise with David, or maybe it was my uncertainty about the future. But that didn't last long. His next words blew away the gloom. "If you want, I can support you to retake the exam for a year. But in exchange, you must get into Cambridge next year." He wanted to ask me a favor. If I agreed, it would count as me repaying his kindness. The man told me his son got into Cambridge this year. Since he lost his wife early and was too busy to care for his son, the boy turned rebellious. He needed someone to watch over, guide, and even accompany his son at university for 3 years. After his son graduates, I'd be considered debt-free. During those years, he'd cover all my college expenses. And his troublesome son was none other than Jackson. David dropped me off at school. His good looks caught quite a few stares from some girls along the way. We shared a goodbye kiss before I headed to the dorm. After a refreshing shower, I powered on my phone to find lots of messages and about 30 missed calls. It was, without a doubt, all from Jackson. Annoyed, I skimmed through the messages. Pretty much all were his obnoxious demands. Luna, you've got some nerve to hit me. Who do you think you are? You think a little drama would make me fall for someone like you? You ruined my special confession to Christina. I'll give you one chance. Meet me at the bar and apologize to Christina within 10 minutes, or never show your face to me again. Where are you now? Why aren't you answering my calls? Luna, I'll wait at the bar tonight. If you come, I'll let today slide. Reading his messages, I couldn't help but laugh. I lay back, thinking of these past 3 years, and wondering how I let him think my tolerance was out of affection. My heart was set on Christina. No storm around her would sway me. I blocked his number on message, realizing I had to be up early the next morning. Just as I was about to switch off my phone and sleep, it vibrated again. Seeing Jackson's name on the screen, I didn't hesitate to hang up and block him. Yet soon, it buzzed again. No matter how many calls I rejected or numbers I blocked, the unknown calls just kept coming. My phone lit up again. I pressed decline one more time. Just as I was about to turn off my phone, I heard Jackson's drunk voice from the other side. Luna, you finally answered my call. Only then did I realize I had accidentally hit answer. I was ready to hang up, but I paused. Tonight, I did want to sort things out with Jackson. Say what you need to. I was about to sleep. I gotta get up early tomorrow. The other end was quiet. I could even hear the wind. I rubbed my temples. Then, Jackson started firing questions. Luna, where are you right now? How come I didn't know you were friends with David? When did you two start hooking up? Weren't you always into me? I'm giving you a chance here. Luna, come downstairs. I frowned, feeling something was off. I climbed out of bed, pulled back the curtains, and sure enough, Jackson was leaning against a lamppost by the girls' dorm. Jackson was clearly drunk. His voice was all over the place. I felt no sympathy, but a bit of annoyance. Jackson said he was giving me a chance? A chance to do what? Like him? Who gives him the right to think I'd accept his pity? What chance? A chance to be with someone like you? I couldn't help but scoff. Luna, don't push your luck. If you come down and apologize to Christina, maybe I'll consider being temporarily with you, Jackson said impatiently. This is a one-time offer. I'm not here to pamper you. Miss it and you're out. Are you done? Can you shut up now and listen to me? I was just as impatient. Before Jackson could answer, I unleashed 3 years of anger on him. Jackson, get this straight. I, Luna, have never liked you. I don't like jerks. The only reason I'm around you is out of gratitude. Your dad helped with my mom's treatment 4 years ago. Otherwise, I wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole. Who you like? I couldn't care less. Every moment with you makes me sick. I don't get why someone like your dad has a son who turned out to be a waste. Do you think I enjoy having you bossing me around daily? You think offering me a chance means something? You and your girl are a perfect match. You deserve each other. Don't go ruining other people's lives. After I said all that, I felt oddly refreshed. I had no desire to keep arguing and hung up without caring if he got the message. My roommates were looking at me, wide-eyed and shocked. I just smiled at them and went back to bed. Before I could settle down, there was Jackson's angry shouting outside. Luna, come down. You come down here and explain yourself. You think by playing hard to get, I'll start liking you? I'm only giving you a chance out of pity. Don't ever show up in front of me, or else. It wasn't long before the dorm matron called security to deal with Jackson. My world was quiet again, finally able to sleep. The next day, after getting ready, I planned to meet up with David. David rented a place near the school after finishing college abroad. His dad had passed away from cancer due to heavy drinking half a year ago. David was back to surprise me and to sell the old family house. We visited his dad's grave and then went to the real estate office. David seemed down, so I tightened my grip on his arm. His mom ran off with a wealthy foreign businessman when he was 10. She never contacted him until after he passed the college entrance exams. She returned, telling David she'd inherited the businessman's fortune and gave his dad some money before asking David to come with her. Before heading abroad, David tried reaching me, but couldn't. He left with regret. Feeling down? You can cry it out on my shoulder, no biggie. Not the first time I've seen you cry. I leaned my head on his shoulder, walking arm in arm. David hesitated, then smiled softly. I've sold my only house. When you finish grad school, we'll move back to mine, or it'll have to be yours. He hugged me closer, always wanting to be near, I guess. Oh, so that's your plan, huh? Pretending to resist, I ran a few steps ahead, turning back to him. Guess I'll have to take you in, poor guy. But my place only has 1 bedroom. Someone will have to take the couch. Would you really make me sleep on the couch? David raised an eyebrow, stepping forward to grab me, but I dodged. The couch is great. Someone likes sleeping on it, don't they? Seeing David's eyes narrow, I realized I'd pushed things too far. I was about to apologize, but then someone yanked me aside. Luna, really? Why didn't you come down last night? Didn't even return to your dorm? Did you two spend the whole night together? You're quick to move on, aren't you? Such a lowlife. Before I could react, there was a sound of a punch landing. My arm was free, and I was pulled into an embrace. Watch your mouth, Jackson. David was furious, shielding me. Jackson, face bloody, spat and got up. David, you think you've got guts now? You think being a broad makes you special? You were my lapdog. Can't change that. Slap. I slapped Jackson, unable to stand his insults to David. Jackson's head turned, disbelief in his eyes. You hit me for him, Luna? Why for him? He tried to grab my arm, but David shoved him aside without hesitation. David held me tightly, terrified Jackson might lose it and hurt me. Because I liked him. Jackson, didn't you almost get me killed once for Christina? As I spoke, Jackson froze, looking away, as if suddenly remembered something. Back then, I just wanted to teach you a lesson, he stammered. Christina said it was no big deal, just to scare you a little. Scare me? I chuckled, mocking disbelief. Do you know the fear of having a gun to your head, not knowing if you'll live? But you're okay, Jackson tried to say, but David knocked him down again. Jackson, you're such a jerk. Punch after punch, David threw his fists so fast I barely had time to react. I rushed to stop David, who was clearly beyond angry, his eyes practically red with fury. I couldn't hold him back or pull him away. Seeing blood on David's hands, I hugged his waist tightly from behind. Enough, David, enough. It's over, it's all over. My voice echoed in his chest. When he finally dropped his fists, relief washed over me. Why didn't you tell me? Luna, you should have told me sooner. David turned to hug me, holding me so tight like he wanted to merge us into one. His shoulders shook, his voice filled with pain and regret. A year ago, I was a sophomore, and Jackson a junior. That year, the school had some spots for exchange students to a top UK school. And that was Christina's school, Jackson's heart's desire. To chase after Christina, who'd gone to the UK after high school, Jackson applied without hesitation for the one-year exchange program. I had to follow him there, fulfilling a deal with his dad. Jackson sneered at me but allowed me to tag along anyway. After all, abroad wasn't like home. No one knew his reputation or coddled him. He needed a companion, a personal assistant at his beck and call. When we first got to the UK, I struggled with the unfamiliar environment and language. Not to mention, taking care of Jackson, a real pain. He complained about the dorms, so he rented a place a few blocks away from campus. To care for him, I commuted daily from school to his place. He hated the food, and I cooked for him. He got sick due to the environment, so I took him to the doctor with my broken English. Friendly locals mistook us for a couple. Once, someone joked, Jackson, I'm so jealous you've got such a caring girlfriend. You're so lucky. Jackson's face fell immediately, ignoring me and holding Christina's hand, publicly declaring, I don't know where you heard that, but it's not true. The only girl I love is this one here. She alone deserves my devotion. Unfazed, I continued my responsibilities. Jackson's antipathy toward me grew. He thought I made up fanciful tales, angering Christina needlessly. To get back at me, he once claimed to be drunk at a bar, directing me to a specific room, leading me into a dangerous gang's territory. I almost died that night with a gun to my head. Paralyzed with fear, I felt death was near. Luckily, the bar manager intervened, letting me leave safely. I couldn't remember how I got out, finally aware I'd nearly lost my life in a foreign land. Overwhelmed with injustice, I collapsed in a random street corner, sobbing uncontrollably. At that moment, Jackson called. I answered and heard his mocking voice. Luna, where are you? The chaotic music mixed with his questions. Wiping my tears, I replied coldly. Are you really at a bar? Silence fell, then Christina spoke. Sorry, Luna, must have mixed up the names. You're not angry, right? Her voice dripped with satisfaction. Ignoring me, Jackson demanded, Luna, it's just a mix-up. What's the big deal? Get over here in 10, and bring hangover meds. Christina's drunk. Listening to their infuriating demands, I laughed. Jackson, there's a limit to jokes. Do you even know what that place was? We're abroad. I nearly got killed. Go to hell. I cut him off, the first time in 2 years. Wiping my tears, I hugged myself tighter, heading back to the dorm. But turning a corner, I noticed a stranger in a black coat and mask following me. My heart raced, and I quickened my pace. Yet he kept trailing me. Panic surged, wondering if he'd been sent to kill me. Cursing Jackson inwardly, I vowed to fly back home if I survived the night. My steps kept getting faster, but the dark figure behind me was catching up. I felt a rush of adrenaline and just sprinted forward. While running, I prayed for some mercy from above. That figure closed in, and when it was just 2 steps away, a hand landed on my shoulder. I screamed and swung my backpack wildly at the person until they wrapped their arms around me and called my name. Luna, it's me. A familiar voice I thought I'd only hear in dreams pierced through. I froze, staring at the person holding me, disbelief etched all over my face. David? Yeah, Luna, it's me. Don't be scared. The moment he took off his mask, I saw a face more mature and determined than 3 years ago. My eyes started to tear up instantly. I never imagined meeting him again in this foreign country. During my extra year in high school, I heard from others that after the university entrance exams, David was taken out of the country by his mom, who eloped with someone. I thought that if I got into Cambridge University, I would meet him and apologize. But when people drift apart, meeting again takes a lot of luck. And maybe I'm just lucky enough. David walked me back to my dorm. He told me he had just finished dinner at a restaurant and was on his way home when he saw a silhouette that looked like mine. He followed on a whim and unbelievably, it was really me. Luna, maybe this is fate giving us a chance. Thank goodness it's not too late. His grip on my hand was so gentle that even I didn't realize when he started holding it. In the dim streetlight, I noticed his eyes were a bit red. He looked at me with the same gentle gaze as before, mixed with a bit of hesitance and hope that wasn't there before. It made my heart ache inexplicably. I held his hand tightly in return, resting my forehead against his chest. I heard his heartbeat pounding loudly, carrying the sound of my voice inside it. I hugged him back, gently patting his back. It's all in the past. After that day, Jackson never bothered me again. But Christina was furious over the fact that David had hurt Jackson. She came at me, demanding retribution. Luna, you bitch. How dare you let David hit Jackson? Do you even know how badly hurt he is because of you? You shameless woman, going after David just because Jackson is out of reach. You have no decency. Smack. I didn't bother with her and slapped her quick and clean. How dare you hit me? Christina clearly didn't expect me to hit her. She couldn't believe I had the guts. She glared at me, ready to retaliate, but I stayed calm. I reached into my pocket and tossed something to her. Christina, remember this necklace? It was what you compensated me with back in the UK. Her hand froze midair as she recognized the necklace. What do you mean? Her confusion was plain, and I smirked, pulling out my phone. I coolly found a recording and played it. I tricked you into going to that bar. So what? You're lucky to have escaped. People like you should have been shot. Watching you trail Jackson makes me sick. Even if I didn't want Jackson, I wouldn't let anyone else have him. One tear from me, and all your efforts become worthless. What right do you have to fight me over him? Christina's expression changed from shock to fear, and now it was ghostly pale. She backed away in disbelief until her heels couldn't support her anymore, causing her to fall straight on her butt. What are you planning? Did you record our entire conversation that day? Luna, how scheming. You planned all this to ruin me? Her eyes were full of accusation as if I'd committed some heinous crime. But honestly, recording was just a self-protection habit of mine. Just because Christina schemed against me doesn't mean I can't have some evidence, right? Enough is enough. Christina, drop your paranoid fantasies. Not everyone is as shameless as you and Jackson, without limits. I rolled my eyes at her with unapologetic disdain. I'll say this one last time, I'll have nothing to do with Jackson anymore, and I've never liked him. This recording serves as a warning. Keep Jackson and yourself away from me. Otherwise, I can't guarantee where this recording might show up next or how many people will find out about what you really did that night. I heard you want to return to Cambridge for your master's. Christina shuddered and glared at me like she wanted to devour me, but I ignored her. I had delivered my warning, returned the slap, and I wanted nothing more of these petty dramas and people. Soon after seeing Christina, I heard from my roommates that Christina and Jackson were together. They animatedly described the gossip while I focused on preparing my UK university application. When they didn't get a reaction, one roommate teased me. You chased Jackson all these years and he still ended up with someone else. What a waste of effort. They're a great couple, and you're just living in a fantasy. Her words had a mocking edge, clearly hoping to provoke a reaction. Despite her and my roommate's attempts to restrain her, I just gave her a cool glance. Sorry, you're interrupting my studies. Ignoring her, I took my laptop and study materials to the library. After David graduated, I finally had a peaceful final year at university. Time passed, and my application and visa for studying abroad were approved. Yet, news of those two somehow kept finding me. Soon after Christina and Jackson started dating, their honeymoon period ended, and they constantly fought over various matters until they eventually broke up. Did Jackson truly love Christina? Probably not. They met in high school when Christina was like an unattainable goddess. Jackson's feelings for her were a youthful crush. After she left for abroad, his unfulfilled love lingered. In his heart, Christina would always be pure and beautiful, untouched by the mundane. Even the most beautiful things or people, once they get covered in dust, can't escape being labeled as ordinary. Wonderful things always need that distance. When you cross it, the magic is gone. Jackson and Christina are no different. But really, what does any of this have to do with me? I just need to pack my bags and get ready to go to the UK with David. The day before heading to the UK, I took David to the cemetery to visit my mom. David held my hand and stood in front of my mom's grave, promising earnestly and firmly that he would never let anything hurt me. I crouched down, pressed my face against my mom's headstone, and said, "Goodbye." I ended up renting out our house, but with one condition: the tenants weren't allowed to change anything inside. The tenant is a divorced woman with a child. After she repeatedly assured me, I finally felt okay about it. I'm not sure how Jackson found out I was leaving the country or how he figured out where I was living now. But on the night before I left, Jackson stopped me outside my building. His hair was messy, and it looked like he hadn't shaved in a while. He seemed a bit manic, but also kind of down. The moment he saw me, he rushed over and grabbed my arm, sounding impatient. "Luna, you're leaving the country? Why? Why didn't you tell me? Is it because of David? You're leaving because of David, right? You're dumping me?" His voice trembled with accusation. I had no clue why he was acting so crazy, but I couldn't shake his grip. "Jackson, let go. Why does my leaving have anything to do with you? I told you everything that day. And I can't believe you didn't ask your dad about it. The agreement between him and me is done, so stop the drama. Lately, I've been getting some random texts from unknown numbers. Luna, I want your yam and pork rib soup. Luna, I shouldn't have treated you so badly. I was wrong. Could you come see me? Luna, I miss you." Of course, I know who's sending these, but I've never replied. To me, Jackson is just an indecisive jerk, like a kid who loses interest in a toy once he has it. That's how he is with Christina, and with me too. "Luna, I don't believe it. You were with me for 3 years and felt nothing? I know I did a lot of crappy things to you, thinking you'd always be there because you liked me. I thought, no matter what, you'd never leave. I thought on May 20th, you were just mad at me. But when you really stopped chasing after me, I realized I liked you all along." Jackson's eyes were red. Gone was his cocky attitude. Now he seemed almost careful. I know saying this makes me seem like a jerk, but after being with Christina, I realized I'm always thinking about you. She just doesn't compare, and it feels like you're still everywhere in my life. "Luna, I'm begging you, don't go. Look back at me. Give me another chance, please. This time, let me take care of you. I really like you." I couldn't hold back a laugh seeing the pitiful Jackson in front of me. Did he really think I didn't know he'd begged Christina the same way? I don't get how he has the nerve to say this to me. Maybe he doesn't realize how worthless his pleading and restlessness are to me. I pulled my arm away from him, looking at him like he was just trash on the street. No, at least I'd pick up trash if I saw it. Jackson isn't even worth that. So disgusting. Jackson, you're so gross. I didn't hide my disgust. Honestly, if it weren't for your dad, I wouldn't ever want anything to do with someone as scummy as you. You really should look at yourself and get a grip on how disgusting you look saying those words. Do you even know what love is? Jackson, the truth is you never liked me. Or Christina. You just love the thrill of wanting what you can't have. You might fool others with your words, but not me, Luna. After all, I watched how pathetically you begged for Christina's approval. Your so-called sincerity means nothing to me, not even close to the trash on the sidewalk. Got it? No, it's not like that. Luna, you have to let me explain. I didn't want to waste any more time with Jackson, so I took my phone and called his dad, asking him to send someone to take Jackson away. Luna, are you really leaving me? As he was dragged away by the guards, Jackson was still asking. But I just laughed. Jackson, I never wanted you in the first place, so how can I leave you? Watching the hope fade from Jackson's eyes, I turned and saw David leaning against the railing in the dim hallway light. I don't know how long he'd been standing there. Our eyes met, and I signaled him to come over. With a quirk of his brow, he quickly wrapped his arms around me. What can I say? I loved how merciless you were just now. He buried his head in my neck, like a big golden retriever, nuzzling away. And what can I say? I love how clingy you are right now too. From now on, you better be clingy with only me, okay? Of course, many years later, long after we were married and had our love's little bundle of joy, when I sternly told him not to be so clingy anymore, that man would remind me of my youthful naive. But that's a story for another day. Oh, you said it. With those words, I found myself being picked up and carried inside, and suddenly things just naturally escalated. It was the first time I realized what it meant to feel like there was no turning back. Ha! Men, thy name is greed. Will we still be able to catch the flight on time tomorrow? Oh well, whatever.